How's it going, everyone? Welcome to another episode of the Baking World Tour. Today we're making Austrian Gammknödel. I probably butchered that, but no matter the name, it's a steamed bun filled with jam and topped with a hot vanilla sauce. I must say, so far, this is my favorite Baking World Tour bread. I'm sure we all know steamed buns, but this is something special. But yeah, if you're from Austria or any other Germanic country where this is very common, it will not be so special to you. I know these are a common school dessert, but for me, this was the best thing ever. So let's get right to it and see what we need. So for the dough, we'll need some strong white bread flour, milk, an egg yolk, soft butter, yeast, salt, sugar, a bit of lemon zest, and vanilla syrup. Now for the sauce, we got some double cream, milk, cornstarch, sugar, vanilla syrup, and an egg yolk. Some thick plum jam. You can of course use different jams as well, as long as they're thick enough. And lastly, some ground poppy seeds with icing sugar to sprinkle on top. Now equipment wise, we'll need a bowl, scales, a dough scraper, temperature probe, a fine grater for the lemon zest. I'll need a little pot and a whisk for the sauce. And of course we need a steamer. I got this bamboo one, it works perfectly. A little bit of parchment paper to prevent any stickage. So let's start making the dough. Grab a bowl, add the milk, the yeast, the salt, the sugar, the egg yolk, the vanilla, the lemon zest, the butter. Everything except the flour for now. And this is such a simple dough to make. You simply mix all the ingredients from the get-go. But of course, as always, before we add the flour, we want to mix everything well. Just to disperse all the ingredients evenly, dissolve any large salt and sugar crystals and hydrate the yeast a little bit. And once you're happy with that, add the final ingredient, the flour. Now grab your scraper and mix this to a dough. Mix it in a bowl until there's no more dry flour and only then tip it out on your table. As you can see, this is a very small amount of dough, because I'm only making 2 portions. If you'd like to make more, simply double or triple the amount of ingredients. When it comes to kneading this dough, I'm going to use my regular kneading method. Press down and forwards with the heel of my right hand, then using the fingers of my left hand I fold the piece of dough under the heel of my right hand, then turn it and repeat. And because this is such a small amount of dough, the kneading will not take long at all. 3 to 4 minutes is enough. If you would double the recipe, you'd probably have to go up to 5 minutes or so. But however much you're making, as soon as it's nice and smooth and not too sticky anymore, it's ready. Now we can shape it up real quick, pop it in a bowl and start fermentation. Now one thing to note is I used cold milk and a cold egg yolk from the fridge, because I don't want this dough to warm up too much as I knead it by hand. So always after kneading, take the temperature. 25 to 26 degrees Celsius, just about right for this. If your dough is warmer, it will ferment more rapidly. If it's cooler, it will take longer. Same goes for your kitchen temperature. I know that in my situation, this will take around 2 hours. But you will obviously clearly see when it's puffed up enough. You should only take the next step once your dough is almost doubled in size. And this looks just about right for me. Now I can divide it and pre-shape it. Let's have a closer look here. Poke it with your finger, look how nice and soft it is. And grab your scraper, run it around the side of the bowl, releasing the dough, and pop it out on the table. And if you're only making 2, it's okay to eyeball it, you can simply cut it in half. But if you are making 4 or 8, then you should definitely use your scales to weigh your dough and then divide it precisely. But regardless of how many you're making, after dividing, we need to pre-shape. Take a piece of dough, flatten it out, then fold the edge over the middle, going around in a circle to reach the point where it started. Then flip it smooth side up, tighten it against the table. Lastly, pinch the seam together at the bottom and your dough ball's done. But this is only the pre-shaping step. After this, we need to let the dough balls rest. They're very tight at the moment, and it will be possible to fill them up with jam, so we need to let them chill out for around 30 minutes. During this time the gluten will relax, and of course the dough balls will get another chance of fermentation. And now it's final shaping time. I can't remember, did I mention that we need a rolling pin? I mean, it's not totally necessary, you could shape these by hand. But I guess since I took it out, might as well use it, right? So dust your dough balls with flour, you don't want too much on there, and then roll them out. And the way I like to do it is roll it once and then turn it, and then repeat as many times as needed. We don't have to roll them out very big. And once they're about this size, stop and then roll out the edge. We want the middle of the disc to be thicker and the edges to be nice and thin. So simply flatten them out, and don't worry if it's not a perfect circle. And this is how you go about filling a regular steam bun as well. Of course, this one's special because it's filled with jam. Now in Austria and other countries, they have a special jam. Can't remember the name of it, but it's made purely with plums and no sugar. I could not find it anywhere. Now when it comes to filling, a good 2 tablespoons go in each one. And now we need to carefully close them up. So what I like to do is hold the dough with one hand, and then using the other hand I pass the dough over and pinch it together. And do pinch it together well, because you don't want any jam leaking out as you're steaming them. But do not press the bun, because it will distort it. It's pretty simple. As long as your jam is not too runny, it's quite easy to fill these. Now if you don't own a steamer, then there are different ways of steaming your buns. You can use a large pan of water, place a rack inside it, then put the buns on the rack and cover the pan with the lid. But regardless of what you use, I would suggest putting these on little parchment paper squares. This will make it easy to move them into the steamer and out of the steamer later on. And of course it will prevent them from sticking to everything. Now they're ready for the final proof. Cover them up and they'll take around an hour or so. So let's clean down the mess and start fermenting. And again, this will depend on the temperature of your kitchen, but you do want to see your buns puffed up. And my ones look just about right. They're beautifully soft, nice and big. Now we can steam them. We can start getting our sauce ready as well. This is a super simple vanilla sauce. Simply in a pot, combine the cornstarch, the sugar and the egg yolk, whisk them up until everything's nice and smooth, and then add the rest of the ingredients, the vanilla syrup, the double cream and the milk. This must be the easiest custard in the world. And we'll start cooking the sauce around 5 minutes before the buns are done. It's always worth having everything ready before you start. Now whisk it up once more till it's nice and smooth, and now let's head over to the stove, see what's going on. You want your steamer to be nice and hot before you place the buns in it. My water's been boiling for a good 5 to 10 minutes. If you place your buns in a cold steamer, they'll take longer to cook, and they may not cook evenly. It's the same as preheating your oven, right? But make sure there's enough space between them, because they will rise considerably. Cover them up and we'll leave them steam for around 15 minutes. And around 5 minutes before the buns are ready, switch on the heat under your sauce. You want to cook this for about 5 minutes, just until it starts getting thick, and whisk it once in a while. There's no need to boil this. As soon as it gets hot and becomes nice and thick, it's ready. And it will get thicker as it sits in the pot as well. Now look at those buns. Nice and big, beautiful, they're definitely done. This recipe is so simple. I mean, for the result that we're getting, it's crazy. And that's how you make Austrian steamed buns with vanilla sauce. Making so many breads as I am, not much surprises me these days. But this was something special. Soft and chewy steamed dough, filled with delicious jam, and topped with a creamy vanilla sauce and those poppy seeds. Wow. What do you think of this recipe? Have you tried this before? Is it common in your country? Let me know down in the comments. And as always, if you have any questions or suggestions, also let me know. What's your favorite kind of steamed bun? Alright guys, I can't wait any longer. Need to tuck into this. So check out the other Baking World Tour episodes. Don't forget to subscribe if you haven't already. Thank you for watching, and I'll see you in the next one.